All right, good afternoon, Vice Forecaster JD Rapp with you in, in the Breaking Weather Center. We do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued. The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm watch that covers out there into about 6 p.m. We have a line of showers and storms continuing. A list of severe thunderstorm warnings out here right now, so we'll take a look here. This severe thunderstorm warning in effect. This is up here towards the Jersey area. This is a watch that goes in effect. A warning goes in effect at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time for Kent County. At 1:04, severe thunderstorm is near Wayne Miles or near Kentonville, Minnesota, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. So, folks, this is booking at 50, so hazard 60 miles of wind gusts and quarter-size hail. We're not really concerned of tornadoes today. Completely roll it out, but we're concerned more wind damage coming in and some outflows can develop. All right, just give me a second here. All right, Ian, I think Isaac will be on pretty soon.
I think those updrafts are quite shallow, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there are too, looks like.
They're very shallow, but they're low top, so if they are getting wind, they're probably more dynamic, high shear, and low cape updrafts.
Yeah, I think so too. These storms could still do some damage to wind gusts, it's showing, looks like. That's what the text is showing. And this storm is looking at 50 miles an hour. So that's still.
So they're more dynamic. They're not really. There's not much instability up that way.
Yeah, and we still got these storms up here, and there's another one still producing quarter-size hail, but these don't look. I mean, all I'm getting is hail and 1 inch hail, 0.25. So, I mean, this system is looking more like a hail and wind fret. I mean, it's what it's looking right now.
But it is a linear situation because most of these
Yeah,
storms
I
are
can
more
see
with the
that.
cold front. So you got some
Yeah, because this is just
You got some
looking at the wind profiles, looking at
rhinogenesis.
the winds blowing with this. This look, and I don't even see no couplets. So these are just going to be hail and a possibility of some damage in straight line winds. If there's not even any dark colors for hail, so this is probably just going to be a wind situation. So definitely just something we got to keep in mind. Um, Still looking here. I'm going to pull up the severe thunderstorm watch has been issued too. Let me pull that up. That goes through 6 o'clock, but I think they'll expire that watch through 6 o'clock. You think so, Ian?
I think they'll expire earlier than 6 o'clock, with the exception that I'm looking at this southern cell, and it might be trying to get a rotation on it.
Okay, we
The
might
one
have some rotation out there.
The one in what county is that? The one that's in St. Mary's and southern St. Mary's County in Maryland.
Okay.
It has a little bit of rotation with it, but it's weak at the moment.
Okay, let me get the radar back up a little bit so we can take a look at that real closely. Trying to look at. All right, somebody else just popped on. I think that's Isaac. Just came on with us. So, Isaac, Ian just said there was some weak rotation with one of those sails.
Yeah, you can see with one of the flanks of those lines, you can see.
It's the tail end, Charlie. They
Yeah.
always do that.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that that cell there tracking into southern parts of New Jersey there, you can definitely see that cluster. You got a little bit of I think you got a strong downdraft with that one near Wilmington. That will be tracking into the Philly area. Well, I mean, definitely expect quite a bit of wind damage, maybe some hail with that one. But like I said, you can see a
Yeah.
tad bit of inflow that may be kind of enhancing the wind shear with that.
It's getting
So
some easterlies to it.
yeah. So
So it
yeah,
might.
when you get those easterly, as that kind of tracks into New Jersey, there parts of Delaware as well. Um, I think that you can
Right.
see that there is a little bit of a mesocyclone there with that one. You
Mm-hmm.
get that little bit of rotating
I don't think we'll
updrafts.
see a tornado with that, but it's you can never roll one out with these types
Yeah,
of events
if
sometimes.
if you get rotation, it's not at the base of the storm; it's aloft. But
Mm-hmm.
more than likely, you are likely getting when you're getting a mesocyclone like that. That is an indication that you got some severe weather associated with
Yeah,
that
and we
cell
also
in
got a
terms of
severe
hail.
thunderstorm watch too, Isaac.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a fairly broad area that
I'll fix
there's a
this in a
possibility of
second.
wind
Here's the
damage.
watch. It goes in effect until
So
6 p.m. Mainly, it's going to be some damage and winds with that. Moderate winds up to 70 miles an hour. So, what's concerning me with that is if that could cause some minor wind damage. Is the biggest concern. You think so, Isaac?
Well, definitely, and bear in mind that as these storms kind of track into a more urban area like Philadelphia, we have that cluster of storms tracking into the Philly area. Um, we're getting predominantly hail reports out of that, but I
Yeah,
think
we
you
got
could get,
a report of 1 inch hail from a train spotter.
is it with that southern cell?
No, there's
it is,
I'm just looking. I'm just looking at stuff from the radar, uh, where it's picking up. People posting. Uh, we got one report of 0.25, and there's a lot of hail reports. I'm not getting no wind reports yet, so I guess we could say that's some good news, right, Isaac?
well, don't be deceived because I still think you got some strong downdrafts, especially with that.
Yeah,
You have a little bit of wind shear associated with that cell that's tracking into Philly. Um, and I mean, a lot of what you're getting is strong in the form of strong downdrafts. So I
mm-hmm.
mean that will likely cause some
Sometimes they'll hit
wind
it
damage
way
across sections of the Philly area in terms of like trees,
better.
power lines, and
Sometimes
just
they'll hit a
street
ground.
siding and roofs as well.
But one thing
Yeah,
I will point out with these tail end Charlie storms is that you got the southerly flow in place coming out of the south, but sometimes they'll hit a gravity wave of some slightly better low level dynamics to have some tornado spin ups.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think the same way too. We could see these quick tornado spin ups a lot of times. I've seen this multiple
Because
times in
now,
these type of events.
because now I'm starting to see a hook forming on that southern cell.
Isaac, do you see a hook too?
are you referring to that cell
St.
approaching?
Mary's County, the St. Mary's County storm is what I'm seeing a hook on now.
In Maryland or Delaware?
Yes, Maryland.
Okay, yeah, that's southern cell. Yeah, I think I could tell. Yeah, you're starting to get. That's the one in northern Delaware, parts of the Philly area. But still, that is showing very strong indications there. You got some strong downdraft winds, and you still got a lot of. I think you still got a lot of saturated air with a lot of these updrafts. So I think hail is also going to be a big concern with some of these, at least 1 inch in diameter. So if anything, it could get large enough to like maybe cause some minor property damage. So like vehicles or any livestock or plants or just anything that's in the open. Maybe some injury to anything that's still anyone still outdoors. So definitely good
It's
to
in
be
a
in a
low
site built
it's in a low cape
building.
environment.
Yeah, just get away from winds, folks. That's what we want you to be away from today. we're not talking about any tornado. Well, tornadoes could happen with this, but I'd rather off you guys being in the building away from windows because trees could topple through this. If one of those trees would topple through your area, that's where we get the problems, right, Isaac?
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
Then weather events. What?
when you're working with there's not a lot of surface-based instability. So I mean, while you could get it is in the environment for at least a spin up.
So there is on those days, a lot of times they won't be as likely to produce tornadoes because it doesn't have that surface-based instability. So it can't funnel that shear up into the updraft and cause it to strengthen at low levels either.
And
Yeah,
I just don't really see hardly any hail of these. But they're showing markers up here showing reports of hail. But I mean, today's a type of day where if you're in a warning, I would just go to the lowest floor, make sure you're just wiping the windows, and I think you make it through fine. Because if that one tree would topple through your house, it could cause an injury, right, Isaac?
Right, and I will point out the closer you get into like the urban areas, like downtown Philly, this is a big travel hub. I mean, also something to note, for airports and commerce and things like that. I think this could be leading to some impacts, especially with maybe you could be getting some brief flight delays, but also I will point out, a lot of the structures,
All
a
right,
lot
new warning in
of commercial
place now.
districts.
Just going to pass
Yeah.
along to you. A new severe thunderstorm warning, and this storm is a trained weather spotter has reported up to quarter-size hail with this.
Yeah, I can definitely see some high reflectivity with that. So, I mean, a very strong downdraft with that. So, you're likely getting some mixing. You got much stronger winds that are mixing down at the ground with that. But also, you're getting a pretty decent hail core. Like again, spotters like we've mentioned, we're reporting a lot of hail. We got a lot of saturated air that freezes, and then we got a strong downdraft that forces all that to the ground with a lot of these those cells up there.
That's just where we're getting. In some of these tornadoes, you could get if what happens if it's just going to be. It may not even develop to a tornado. It could just be a damaged and straight line wind situation, right, Isaac?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen these events.
Following with some of the radar data, I will show you once again. So you got that northern cell tracking into Philly. Looks like all this, by the way, the severe weather in northern parts of New Jersey has somewhat diminished there, maybe some gusty winds. But that's where you're getting a lot of high reflectivity, some strong downdrafts with those storms that are pushing into sections of Delaware. Looks like the northern tip of Pennsylvania. If I'm not, or no, Maryland. Okay, because
we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning down here, and this storm is giving me signs of a hazardous 70 miles of gusts with the storm. Wind damage could cause trees, branches to fall down easy with this one because now we're getting a strong storm with a tornado text with this one right over here by Balloons Island here. This storm could produce a 70 miles of gusts with a tornado text, Isaac. So this could possibly be a brief tornado kind of for a minute.
Yeah, so you can definitely tell a lot of the velocities we're seeing with that one are outbound from the Dover Air Force Base radar. But again, that also indicates, sometimes there's a little bit tighter, like a little tad bit tighter. Not saying it's immediately something that will prompt a tornado warning by any means, but near the base of the storm, that's where you're likely working with some wind shear, some change in direction and wind speed, but likely you're getting much stronger winds at near the base of the storm that are mixing in with the very strong downdraft. And then that coupling with the ground, you're likely seeing wind gusts greater than 70 with that particular cell.
Yeah, if you're in the path of that warning, you might want to be taking shelter now. Get to the basement.
So like Chesapeake Bay, so you can see that particular cell will be tracking towards Chesapeake Bay. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of marine hazards associated with that particular cell.
I can see that. I got it.
Yeah, so
trying to get my radar to pull up. Isaac, you got a radar you could use? Because mine's having some trouble pulling up right now.
I cannot screen share with my device that I'm using, but I will point out that southern cell, obviously you're working with.
All right, now it's working again. See, this storm does have potentially of 70 miles of gust with it, so that still gives you the sign this storm, you definitely being by in the path of this, would probably need to be going to the lowest floor. That's be the best place to be at, is getting away from the windows today, in case a tree would come across you, right?
Yeah, and I will point out, a lot of people that are in site-built homes, you don't necessarily have to go to your tornado. You don't have to take tornado precautions necessarily. Just make sure that you're away from the exterior part of your house. And also just pointing out, for those in the Philly vicinity, or some of these more urban areas across Maryland, Delaware, into southeast Pennsylvania, parts of New Jersey, that particular cluster of storms, definitely I've been following a lot of the trends with this. And I mean, a lot of what we're working with is mixed layer instability, where you got quite a bit of warm air advection up there near where the base is, a lot of the convection that we're working with, or based off of that warm air advection, it's growing up. It's been growing upscale. And when that happens, you likely are working with some hail, some saturated air with a lot of that upscale growth, with all these updrafts that are forming. And now we got several like mesocyclones, so some rotation and wind shear further aloft. That's in turn helping.
And that's going to be a problem. When you get rotation, sometimes you can get a brief tornado spin up, but these are not going to be your alarm track. They'll just be a spin up if you get it. But so far, we have not got that yet.
Yeah, and I will point out. Okay, another thing on Twitter. Looks like Unionville, Medford Lakes, and some of these other vicinities here across sections of New Jersey, Lindenwood, Williamstown, and Hamilton. Yeah, I was going to say, looks like a fairly populated area, a new warning polygon for damaging gusts up to 60 and localized hail a quarter size. I don't know if there's any particular spotter reports, newer ones following that particular cell, but that storm has definitely had the history of producing some fairly large hail and obviously some strong downdrafts. A lot of the stronger winds further aloft. I mean, we're talking pretty decent low-level jet, and likely when we were working with those stronger winds, you could likely see a localized stronger gust. And again, it's because the air from the stronger winds along those storms will oftentimes mix in at the ground where you see those high reflectivity values. And likely you'll see some localized significant gusts, 60 to 70 miles per hour. And I will point out, while there is not really much surface instability to work with, you're still working with maybe a little bit of low-level shear. And I mean, sometimes that convective inhibition, or that capping inversion, may erode at times along these particular storms because of those strong downdrafts. And then you may get those easterlies, again, those easterlies near the ground. Well, oftentimes they can couple in with a lot of these particular storms in their outflow. And then sometimes you may get weak low-level rotation and spin with that. You may end up with, again, like isolated tornadoes. I don't really think the tornadoes really the biggest hazard that we're dealing with that
I
particular
don't think
cluster
so
of
either.
storms. But we do have you can see some of the southern flank. We got a lot of upscale growth. We do have a itty bitty mesocyclone there across just east of the Chesapeake Bay. We do have another developing storm that'll probably track into southern Delaware. Looks like into the Dover area, just north of there. That's severe warned. But that, again, just off the Chesapeake Bay, we do have looks like another thunderstorm trying to build up there, to billow up. And I think with the influence of the wind shear and mixed layer cape that we're seeing again, I would expect mostly wind damage being a concern, maybe some hail like we've been pointing out, but we don't expect that this will be a outbreak by any means, but maybe some more localized reports of wind damage with this. Definitely get our, please, if you experience wind damage or anything, please definitely get a hold of our group. And again, this will help those in the path of harm's way. We'll continue with these occasional feeds as we get there. But yeah, let me know if there's any other reports to pass along there, JD. But I will be back here pretty soon as we get there.
All right, thank you, Isaac. We're still tracking this line of showers and thunderstorms. Continuing, still have no. We can see these little. You have to watch these little small areas. Sometimes you get very strong to damaging straight line winds, and sometimes you can get brief tornadoes that can spin up along the edge. So you have to watch these real closely. So right now, we'll zoom in. We got one report just came in now, and I'm gonna switch here. We might stay with you just for a few more minutes in case we get any reports, then we'll send you right back. But I'm gonna just take a look here, take this opportunity because we're getting some. I think our first wind damage report just came in. I'm just really apologize. This computer's not picking things up right. All right, we got one report just came in. Tree reported down on a Conton Point Road near Hurley Road time. So we're just getting some reports of a tree down. So folks, we're starting to get storms are already getting producing trees, and now we're getting a bunch of special marine warnings. And this is what I thought was going to happen. We'll start seeing these special marine warnings form, and that's why we're continuing to watch all this. Is to get special marine warnings, and that just tells you we could get other stuff to work with. So we got 3 warnings in place. So I'm getting ready to sign off here. And we want to moderate this. If you always have any damage, please let us know always, so we can pass it along. I'm looking for hail. Still looks like some very large hail with some of these storms, and that's what we do have, some very large hail. Severe thunderstorm warning goes in effect at 2:15 for Burton and New Jersey area and Cameron County up here. These storms could produce some very large hail, and like I said, forecaster and storm tracker in did see some rotation with these on radar, but I mean, we're not talking about any long track tornadoes. If we did see a tornado warning today, it would mostly be like a quick spin up. What we do see sometime in a leading squall line is these cells. There's another just streak one. Let me see if it has any sign to becoming a warning. Just checking for hail. Low account for hail with these. And just we're going to continue to watch this. I'm getting ready to send things back. If we do get more warnings, and we could for a little bit, we will break right back in. Always pass along reports to us. If you feel threatened by any thunderstorm today, just seek shelter. in a basement, small 2 room, just away from all the windows. I mean, just get away from windows today. You don't have to go to your tornado safe spot, but just get away from windows in case a tree would fall on top of your house. Because, excuse me, if that one tree would fall on your house and that gets to you, that could be a possibility of a bad deal for you. So just get away from windows. So we will continue to keep you updated and break in. Remember, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that goes in place that runs through 6 p.m. The main threat is going to be damage and straight line winds would be the biggest concern with this today, and we will continue to keep you updated. Right now, I'm going to sign off. We will continue to watch stuff and break in as we need to.